everyone, it's Leanne with Lovely Scrappin'. So I ended up getting a lot of requests for people interested in seeing how I designed my Tim Holtz-like Rosette die using my Gypsy and cutting it with my Cricut. So just to show you in comparison, this is the Tim Holtz Rosette die all put together. So when you cut it, you're going to get this long strip here with these two pieces. And using the design that I'm about to show you, you're going to get this, which in comparison is pretty much bang on in terms of measurements. So make sure you really pay attention to the measurements I give you to get it to be just like the actual Tim Holtz one. And then you're going to get these two little circles. So the two dies that I use for this one is the Plantain Storybook and the Accent Essentials. So in comparison, this is the one we're going to build today. Pardon me. And this is the Tim Holtz Rosette die. And just so you know, I mean, you can play around with the design on the Gypsy and you can get a bigger size. So in comparison to the Tim Holtz one, there's a bigger rosette. Or you can do a smaller one. And even the shape of the scalloped edge, you know, you can play around with the dimensions and get a deeper kind of a scallop pointed look, or you can do a more rounded like the Tim Holtz. So for the sake of this tutorial, I am going to show you the Tim Holtz-like Rosette die. So hang in there, guys, and let's get started. Alright guys, so this is what the paper rosette looks like when it's all completed and designed. Let me just zoom in a bit here. So pretty much once everything's all welded, you have this shape that looks like this. And this little bit of extra here will just get cut off once you've actually have cut it out on your Cricut. So that's not a big deal at all, but this is the exact dimensions of the Tim Holtz Rosette die. So I will show you how to put this together. So I apologize for the glare on it. So anyway, I'm just going to select a new design and selecting the 12 by 12 mat, and then from here I'm just going to go to my Cricut cartridges that I have linked, and this is the Accent Essentials, as you can see here, and all I'm going to do is just press shift lock, and you can choose any one of these little circles, designs, whatever you want for your center of the flower. I'm just going to choose this one here, and I'll just choose 2 because I will want 2 printed out. And then go back to my mat size. And then the size of this, I'm actually going to make them so they're separated here, so they're not linked. And I will make that 1 1/4 inches. So if I just click on this, go 1.25. And the same with this one. 1.25. So now they're 1 1/4 inches, which is approximately the size of the Tim Holtz circles. So I'll just put them over there for now. Now we're going to go get the scallop shape that we want. So I'm going to go back to my Cricut linked cartridges, and I'm going to choose, it's called the Storybook, Plantain Schoolbook, sorry. And there is this one right here. It's a scalloped border edge. I'm going to select that. And I'm going to go back to my main screen. And now it's huge and it's linked to that circle, which I don't want. So I just unlinked it. And now for this scallop shape, I'm going to make it 1 1/4 inches wide and 0.25, so 1/4 inch high. So I'm going to unlink the dimensions here so it doesn't try to keep it to the relative size or whatever it's called. So I'm just going to go to the width and go 1.25, and then to the height and go 0.25. Now it's teeny tiny, as you can see. But this is generally what it's going to look like. Now we're going to weld a bunch of these together along with a rectangle, but you're going to need 9 of these. So what I do is I'm just going to zoom out, and I'm going to go to my advanced settings and copy it. So I have 9. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm just going to throw them kind of all over here. Now I'm going to get the rectangle that we need. So I'm going to go back to my Plantain Schoolbook, and I'm going to press Shift and Italic. And there's this shape here. I'm going to take that one, go to my main page, and it likes to link it. It comes up very tiny. I don't know why, but there it is. So we are going to make that 11.65 inches wide. So go to width, go 11.65, and we are going to make it 1 inch high. So go to height and press 1. Okay, so now you've got this rectangle here, and I'm just going to stick it down here because this is where you are going to weld all of these little pieces here onto here and line it up nicely, and that's how you're going to get your rosette shape. So let me zoom in. So all you're going to do is line this up as best you can. Now the key here, now this is going to take some time, so I hope you guys have patience if you really want this die. See how it's a bold line like that? I found that if I leave it a bold line like that, it is actually, my Cricut cuts it. So it doesn't, even though you've welded it together, it still cuts. I don't know why. So it's a little finicky. So what you can do, you can use these arrow keys down here, but I find that sometimes that doesn't work. I have to just fiddle around with it and move it until the line turns yellow, like that, and then it disappears. It doesn't matter too much that it's not completely lined up. If you're really fussy like I am, I try to line it up as best as I can. There. So now that line has disappeared. So when you cut it with your Cricut, it doesn't actually cut the line, even though it's welded. I don't know why. If anybody knows why, I don't know, maybe they just need to update their software. I'm not sure. Now you're going to go ahead and do this with every single little scalloped edge that you have. And again, you want those edges to be yellow and the lines to disappear. See how that's bold? That will make a cut down there. So, I mean, it doesn't make a big deal when you're folding it, but I don't like it, so I like to make sure it's gone. So this is the time-consuming part. So go ahead and do this, what I'm doing, to every single little scallop piece that you have, and just connect it all, and try to make sure that those lines are no longer bold. You don't want them to be bold. You want them to disappear, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with the rest and come back. Okay, I just wanted to show you how I'm doing the very last one. So you're going to have that excess. You pretty much just want that one little scallop piece, and it's going to kind of meet up to the end, and that's going to give you the exact dimension of the Tim Holtz Rosette. So when this gets printed off, or not printed, but cut on your Cricut, all you're going to do is just snip that with your scissors. So let's zoom out. So this is what your piece looks like. So now we want to connect it. So you're just going to press this button here, and you're going to connect every piece. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. So the rectangle has been highlighted, and then I'm going to touch every little scalloped piece so it all turns blue. There. So now it's all blue, so then I press the button again, and now the whole thing is connected. So whenever I want to move it, the whole thing goes together. So once you've connected this all together, you're just going to weld it. So go to Advanced and then press the Weld button. And then just click off of it and the whole thing should turn red. Now these two little things here are bold. So I'm going to zoom in and have a look. Now this one's overcrossed slightly. Again, you guys may need to cut this and see how it turns out, and so we'll find out with this design. I don't know why it's finicky, but it is. You would think because it's welded and it's overlapping that there shouldn't be a cut down that little line and down this line, but for some reason sometimes it does. On mine, I don't know, maybe I have some kind of flawed software, but just so you know, if that happens to you, just try to fix it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unweld this. So highlight this whole thing and press the weld key and unweld it, and then highlight it, go to the regular setting, and I'm going to unconnect it all. So I'm just going to move this one over just slightly and see if this is going to make a difference. You know, it's funny because even at this zoom level, how it looks like it's all connected there, and I noticed that there's a line here. I don't know why that's coming up all of a sudden, but we'll have to see. See, now when you look at this, there's no line, but when you zoom in, there's a line at this level, but when you zoom in once, there's no line. But now this is bold. But if you zoom in again, then that's not bold. I don't know why it does that. I honestly don't. But that's why it's a little bit finicky when I design this. So we'll have to just see how this, see, it is overlapping. There isn't a gap, so there shouldn't be a cut down there once it's welded. So you guys, I'm just going to connect it again. So now what I do, just for the sake of saving paper, is I just bring this nice and close. These little circles, or scalloped stars, whatever you want to call them, nice and close. So there we go. So that is the design. So now I'm going to bring it over to the Cricut and we will cut it and see what it looks like. Okay guys, so for most of you who probably already know this, to cut it you want to go to your basic setting and press the little blade, and it is hooked up to my Cricut now. So it's going to get ready to cut. And I'm going to load my mat. So remember, when you're looking at your design, keep in mind this is the arrow, so I'm putting it in this way, so my design's going to cut here, okay? I'm just using an 8.5 by 11 piece of white paper just for demonstration's sake. So I'm just going to load up my mat here. And just press load mat on your Cricut, or your Gypsy. And sorry about that glare. And then I'm just going to press the cut, and it's just going to ask you, you know, make sure your settings are set. And I always set mine speed at 3, pressure all the way up, and my blade setting is at 5, just for regular cardstock, and that seems to work really good for me. So it is ready. So it's going to go ahead and cut it. So it's done cutting. I just press unload, and I think with this paper, I tried a different kind of cardstock. It's a bit cheaper, but I think my blade might be getting a little bit dull because it bunched up slightly there, but that's okay. Just that could I tried decreasing the pressure recently and it didn't cut quite all the way, so I might just decrease the blade depth next time to 4 and see how it turns out. So anyway, this is what it looks like, and it should just pop right out along with these little circles. So you're left with what looks like this. Well, if it cut nicely, that wouldn't have happened, but that's okay. But if you look closely, it only made that little slice, like I mentioned. I don't know if you can make that out, but you can tell right there, there's a little bit of a cut that it made, which is fine. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And all I do with this little bit is just trim it off. And you're left with what looks like that, which is, it is pretty much bang on the exact size. See? So next we're going to take it to the scoreboard, because obviously it didn't make these little tiny slits in there. So we're going to score each line there. Okay guys, so you're just going to take your piece and put it on your scoreboard and just score it at every scalloped point. So just go through. This part takes a little bit of time, but just score it lightly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to help you make the folds. You don't even really have to do this, but trust me, it's a lot easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and I'll come right back. Alright, so I just finished scoring it along each. Again, I'm just doing the demonstration sake on this, otherwise I would have printed another one and fixed it because that's bothering me. But anyways, I've scored it along each little scallop bed. So just like the Tim Holtz Rosette, you're just going to take it and you're going to do your accordion folding, okay? So just back and forth and folding it all the way till you get to the end. Okay guys, so just to compare the little circles too, this is the Tim Holtz one, and this is the one that we cut. So pretty similar in size, just a little less of those little spikes, but I mean, same type of look. And so this is the one that we just designed, and so it's all completed with all the little folds along the edges. So now we're just going to go ahead and glue it and put it together. So you're just going to, and most of you probably already know this, but you're going to glue the edges like this. Okay, and I just use hot glue gun. Some people don't like it because it's a bit bulky, but again, I'm just going to do this because it's quick, and I'm just demonstrating this really. I mean, if I was putting it on a project, I would be a lot neater. So just being quick. So just like that. And so that's all nice and glued together. Then you're going to get your circles ready to go, and you just put it down. This is the easiest way I do it. Put it down and it goes nicely into place, just like that. And I take my hot glue, and while that's still down, I just go like this. Lots of hot glue because it's going to stay a lot better. Put it somewhat over the center. That'll be the back. And then for the top, this one is going to be a lot more accurate in terms of where it's centered. So again, hot glue, and then just put it nice and centered. So this is the Tim Holtz die cut, and this is the one that we just designed on our Gypsy and cut it with our Cricut. So if you don't have access to the Tim Holtz Rosette die and you don't have a big shot or a Cuttlebug or anything like that, but you have a Cricut and a Gypsy, then you can design this. And the cool thing with this is you can make it any size you want. You can alter how big you want the scallops, just changing the dimensions of the scallop shape that we had welded. So there's so much you can do with your design, your Cricut Design Studio or your Gypsy Design Studio, you guys. So have fun, play around with it, and I hope this tutorial was helpful. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care. Bye now.